welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 9 o'clock on a Monday, which means it's time for a 5x5. Now, this is where I take 5 subjects related to magic. I spend 5 minutes talking about each subject. There's a countdown timer at the bottom of the screen. The countdown timer reaches 0. I move on to another topic. It's quick, it's snappy. You never know what you're going to get. First of all, before we start this, I'd like to ask you a favour. Please, can you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so? That would be absolutely amazing. Now, we're going to start off this week with the same thing that we do a lot of the time at the moment, which is a full live performance of me actually performing in the real world. So you're going to see a full live performance, you're going to see me performing, you're going to see an unedited performance in the real world. Then the second segment is going to be that same performance, but this time with a commentary track over the top. I genuinely believe that the best way to learn is by looking at live performances and analysing them, especially when it's the person who's performing that's analysing their performance. So we're going to do that first of all, but there is an awful lot more coming up on this week's 5x5. So stick around, you're going to have a lot of fun, but let's get straight to it with the first segment.
Like that, especially you, sir. I'm not going to get me a magic boy, I'm watching every move you make.
He's quite good.
Huh?
He's quite good.
Oh, I can tell.
I love you.
I tell you what, do you want to do the show and I'll just sit there? No, you sure? Okay. What's your name, sir? Martin, do you want to give the cards a shuffle? Give them a mix up. It's really important that you mix the cards up, but do me a favour when you finish shuffling, put them back in the original order. That would help. Makes it so much easier. Guys, I'm going to show you the most amazing trick you've ever seen. I'm going to show you the difference between magic and mentalism. So again, ooh. Right, okay, this is the idea. I'm going to try and get, I'm going to try and get 5 people to pick cards. Now, you've probably seen magicians get a card picked and find it. I'm going to get 5 people to pick a card. I'm going to find everybody's card. Now, the boring bit is getting the cards picked. The interesting bit is finding them. I'm going to get the boring bit out of the way as quickly as I can. So I'm going to go down through the deck. I want you to say stop. Wherever you say stop, I'll show you the card. Okay, so just say stop. Stop. Can you remember that card for me? Your card number 1? If you look at me carefully, I might get the reflection in your glasses. That's called cheating. You're going to pick a card as well. Just say stop for me, sir. That's good. Can you remember that card for me? Yeah. Really important you remember it, because later on when I dramatically say this is your card, if you go, I don't know, it loses its impact slightly, to be perfectly honest. Your kind of hands are full, so we'll go with you. Just say stop for me, sir. Stop. It's great. Can you remember that card for me? Yeah. That would be card number 3. I've got to say, the thing that's amazing this right now is your enthusiasm level, so I want to thank you for that. You're going to pick a card. You're related, aren't you? No, really, it looks like you are. Just say stop.
Nearly.
That's great. Can you remember that card for me?
Nearly.
Yeah. If you forget it, just lie and say yes. It'll make me look good. Thank you. And then finally, we'll go over here. Is that you haven't picked one yet, have you? Oh, you did. So I went 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll go over to you. Okay. Just say stop.
Stop.
That's great. Can you remember that card for me?
Yep.
Card number 5. 5 cards have been picked. Now I have to find each card. Now as I find each card, it's going to get more and more impressive, and the applause will get louder. I peaked that. Until other than you're exempt. Yeah, you can whoop. Until I found everybody's card, at which point the roof blows off the building, the windows explode, and we all have to go home. Now I'm going to go backwards, which means I'm starting with you, because you picked the card last, I'm going to reverse. To find your card, I give the deck a razzle-dazzle cut. It's one of the fancy cuts they use in casinos. Watch this, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. This. Then I take the card to do one of these. Proof positive, I have way too much time on my hands. Yeah. And then I get 1 card and 1 card only. Was your card the 3 of clubs?
Yep.
Boom! Do you see what I mean about the applause starting low? Don't worry, Bills. You hold on to that one. So who was before you? That was you, wasn't it? Do you remember your card? Yeah. Have you got it in your head? Yeah. Not quite, it's behind her ear. That would be the 5 of diamonds. Is that your card? Yes! You can find your card yourself, so I'm going to go down through the cards like this. You're going to say stop. Wherever you say stop, that's your card. They'll love you for this, sir. They'll carry you through the streets of wherever the hell I am, on their shoulders. What's your name, sir? Martin. They'll be screaming Martin at the top of their voice. It's going to be like a typical Friday night for you.
Oh yeah, probably sweetman.
Yeah, basically. Join the club. Say stop in time. Okay, there. Be honest, tell the truth, don't lie. Was your card the 3 of spades? No. Then why'd you stop me there?
I don't know.
Okay, don't worry, I can fix it. Let's go. No, it's my fault, honestly. I shouldn't have picked you. Watch the 3. Watch the 3. 1, 2, 3. That's when it turns into the jack of spades. There you go. That's the one. Boom. So we've got 2 cards left. 2 cards left. It was you next, wasn't it? It was you. I'm going to take 2 cards out the middle of the deck. These 2 cards right here, the 3 and the jack. They're not your cards. I get that. Watch the 3. Watch the jack. Watch the gap in between them. 1, 2, 3, one card appears in between the 3 and the Jack, and that would be the 2 of Hearts. Would that be your card? I don't know you very well, but I'm guessing that's your annoying face. And then the last one's your card. I'm going to take one card out. Which one do you touch one? Which one do you think it should be? That one. Right there, you sure? Okay, one card and one card only out the pack. One card and one card only. This card right here, the King of Spades. That's his fault. I can fix it. Have you ever helped a magician before? You're not helping one now. Watch the King. 1, 2, 3. That's when it turns right there into the Ace of Clubs. So is that your card? That's all 5 cards. That's where you guys go crazy. But hang on. Let me ask you a question. I said I'd show you the difference between magic and mentalism. If I told you that I knew the cards that you would pick and the order that you would pick them 6 months ago, would you believe me?
No.
I'll prove it. The order of the cards. You picked one, before that 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 you picked one. 6 months ago, I didn't even need to find these cards because 6 months ago, I knew the 5 cards you would pick and the order in which you would pick them. Do you believe me?
No.
But if I could prove to you that I knew the 5 cards you picked and the order in which that you picked them, would that be good enough to get a big round of applause?
Yeah.
Well, I'll prove to you then. You see, 6 months ago, guys, Ace of Clubs, 2 of Hearts, 5 of Diamonds, Jack of Spades, 3 of... Slightly, hang on, let's put that there. 6 months ago, I got myself a tattoo. Ace of Clubs, 2 of Hearts, Jack of Spades, 5 of Diamonds, 3 of Clubs, and that's the bit where you guys go. You look so confused, you look like a rabbit caught in headlights. I tell you what, so you can keep those as a souvenir. Oh, you don't want them, that's fine. I do need them back for the show, though. I hope you don't mind.
Give me that card.
Do me. We can do the show in a minute.
Okay, there's a particular reason I wanted to actually play this footage for you guys of this performance. Let me give you a frame of reference. You'll see the illusion behind me, which is the split press, by the way, which is one of the best illusions you'll ever see. This is at a wedding about 2 or 3 years ago. And we've just set up in a side room for a show before the evening guests arrive, a 45-minute illusion show. And I'm doing it with Kat Stanley and Nemid Phoenix. Now, this is about half an hour before the show starts, and there's some guests at the wedding that are, not in the wedding breakfast, and they just walked in as we were setting up. So what you can't see is Nemid and Kat behind me finishing the setup, and I said, I'll just go and warm these guys up a little bit. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is because when you're performing close-up magic, frequently you're going to be in a situation where you go over to a group and they're maybe not as receptive when you first start performing for them. They're not as engaged. And you kind of have to work really hard to win them over. And this is that group. You can see them all kind of there. There was a mixture of adults and kids and older generation, which was ironic because the rest of the people that were coming into the show were all kind of sort of 20 to 40. But anyway, these guys, I could just tell when they walked in, they needed to be warmed up. They weren't very receptive. And the reason I wanted to play this footage is to kind of show you how I approach this situation. And how I approach this situation really is just trying to focus on entertaining them as opposed to blowing their mind with magic. Now, yes, the trick I'm doing is a good trick. Multiple selection is a fantastic routine. Using a tattoo as a reveal at the end always goes well. However, it's not about that. What it's about is getting these people on side. And if you watch the footage, you'll see at the very beginning, they're very standoffish. They've kind of got the attitude of, come on then, impress me, magic boy. They've got their arms folded. And by the end of the performance, by the end of the reveal of the tattoo, I've got them on side, they're laughing, they're clapping, which is kind of what I was trying to achieve with this. And it's the thing that I see a lot of magicians struggling with. It's the thing that I see a lot of magicians really kind of not being able to do very well. It's very easy to go over to a group of people that are like, yeah, David Blaine style, come on, yeah, we want to see the magic, and do well. But it's another thing to do that when they're not very receptive. So the key thing, the big piece of advice I'll give you here is read the group. First of all, I could just tell from this group that they were kind of the sort of group that were kind of, I felt they'd be more receptive
to sort of comedy and humour than there would be magic, which is why during the selection procedure of the playing cards, I was really kind of focusing on banter. I was ad-libbing. I was focusing on bits of business, just making like little quips. And the reason I did that is because I was trying to break through their shell. And with every little quip, I was trying to break through their shell. Now you can see I'm kind of halfway through the reveals right now. And at this point now, they're starting to smile. They're starting to laugh. But that's not because of the magic. That's because of how you approach this situation. And I think, I could go through the moves that I'm using in this multiple selection. I could go through why I'm doing an Erdnase change at the point that I do an Erdnase change, or why I'm doing a shapeshifter change, or anything like that. But the key thing I want you to see is how I'm bringing people into the performance, and also the fact that even though there's quite a few people there, I'm bringing everybody in. I'm involving everybody, even the kids, the adults at the back, everybody. I'm bringing them into the performance. I'm trying to focus on individual people. And to be honest, that's why I made the decision to do multiple selection, because I knew it would allow me to focus on 5 people. And then once I'd focused on those 5 people, I could bring other people in as I'm doing it. Just simple things like you see the kid in the blue shirt. I'm spreading the cards towards him and I'm saying to him, hey, you know what? Should we take this one? Should we take this one? Should we take this one? It's that sort of thing. It's recognizing that if you don't do this, they're going to shut off. And so the most important thing is to bring them into your performance, bring each individual person into your performance, and really remember, and people are going to disagree with me on this, and that's absolutely fine. But for me, the most important thing is that the people are entertained. I'm booked as an entertainer. Yes, I want it to be magical. Yeah, for sure. I want to do magic. I'm a magician. But first and foremost, I'm an entertainer. And the most important thing is I'm entertaining these people. And if I have to do a very simple trick with a very simple method, which allows me to instead focus on presentation, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So the next time you're in a situation where you have a group of people and they're a little bit standoffish, look at it. You could just go, oh, they're a terrible table, and you could walk off. Or you could look at it as it's your job to win those people round. And you're not going to be able to do it every time. But I think a lot of magicians, they quit too early. And they just blame the audience. And then the bottom line is, when you point a finger at somebody, there's 3 fingers pointing back at you. And it should be your goal that every single group that you go up to, you bring them into the performance that you're giving.
Okay, guys, so you might recognise this. If you don't recognise this, then why have you not been watching the Craig and Ryland review show? This is a bottle from the Cube in Bottle project. Now, myself and Ryland reviewed this very, very recently. We gave it a great grade, and we talked about the project, and we said that there's 3 things you can do with it. First of all, you can learn how to put a cube in this bottle. We actually put this cube in this bottle ourselves. And when I say ourselves, I don't mean Ryland, I don't mean me, I mean Sarah put the cube in the bottle, and she did an amazing job, and she loved doing it every second, didn't you, Sarah?
You want me to lie?
She hated every second of it, but she learned how to put a cube in a bottle. Now, you also learn how to do a cube matching effect, which myself and Ryland talked about. But the other thing we basically glossed over is the fact that you can actually solve a cube inside a bottle. And the reason we glossed over it, there was 2 reasons. The first reason was we hadn't actually made the gimmick up yet to be able to do the cube solve. But the second reason was, to be honest, I didn't think that was going to be, I thought it was just like a little bonus that went on the end, and it wouldn't actually be that good, and it'd be okay, but it wouldn't be brilliant. I thought, the main effect is the matching effect, because in the matching effect, you've got the full live performance. You've got Mark James on the tutorial doing a full live performance as well. Man, was I wrong. We made up this cube solving trick using another cube in bottle. And when I say we, I mean Sarah. That was a lot quicker, that one, wasn't it, Sarah? That didn't take anywhere near as long. The one where you solve it was a lot quicker, right? But we made it up, and Ryland started practicing it immediately. And he showed it me like about an hour later. I was like, damn, that looks good. It looks brilliant. And we put it on his Instagram channel, and his Instagram blew up. In fact, if you haven't seen the Instagram video, this is it. Let me play it for you quickly.
Hi guys, just about to go play football, but I thought I'll show you a trick before I go. I've got this mixed up cube in a bottle, so you'll probably think it's impossible to solve. But what if I told you I could? Look.
So that is the Instagram video that Rylan put up, and the solve looks really nice. Like, I just thought, it's going to look okay, but it looks really nice. It really looks like you solve that cube, and I'm super impressed with it. Now, to be clear, I'm never going to stop doing Henry Harriot's cube and bottle. That's my favourite trick, and it always will be my favourite trick to do. But I get a lot of people booking me that have booked me and have seen the cube and bottle before, and I think this is going to make a great trick when I go back and do another show for the same people. And you know, I can even reference it. I can say, hey, do you remember when I performed the cube and bottle last time you guys saw me? Well, let me show you something else. And how I plan on actually performing this, of course, I'm actually going to give it away. How I actually plan on performing this is doing the cube matching trick. Now, if you haven't actually seen that, me and Rylan performed it. Well, I say me and Rylan performed it on the Craig and Rylan review show. But the whole idea is that you show this cube, you talk about how it's a wondrous thing. How can you possibly get a cube into a bottle? You then have somebody mix up a cube, you take the cube back, and there's a little bit of procedure, but then basically the ultimate effect is that the cube that they mix up matches the cube in the bottle, which is incredibly strong. Now, I plan, I mean, it's no secret to tell you, you can't solve this, but this matched cube, you could then give this out if you want to. You could have them examine it. What I want to do is put this cube away, put this bottle away after I've done that, and I'm left with the mixed up cube, and I want to solve this cube. So I'm going to solve the cube just by doing a 1 move solve or a 1 second solve or something like that. I want to solve the cube, and then I'm going to say, of course, obviously it's fairly easy if you know what you're doing to be able to solve a cube like this, but the cube in the bottle, that would be next to impossible. Then I want to go back into my case and bring out the cube in the bottle that's been in there the whole time. And then what I want to do is I want to solve that. So at that point, I want to bring this out and I want to go, how could I possibly solve the cube in the bottle? And then shake this one, solve this cube inside this bottle. And then you've got this cube that you've solved. You've got this cube inside the bottle, which is solved. And I think that would be an incredible moment to end the show. And if I want to give this out, if I want to, put myself into a situation where I give this out, I can put everything back inside the case. And then I can switch for a third bottle, which has been prepped with a solved bottle inside there. And then I can give that one out to the spectator. And I think that would make a really nice sequence. You don't have to give the cube out in the bottle. In fact, I don't think I would every single time. And if I didn't, then, I just think this would be an incredibly strong piece to put in a cabaret show. And I think this solve actually adds to the routine and doesn't take away and isn't just a little bonus that they've tacked on. So this whole sequence in this 5x5 is just to tell you, if you haven't seen, or if you've got the cube and bottle project and you haven't actually yet made up the bit where you solve the cube in the bottle, you really should go for it because it looks amazing. Okay, I want to give you a sneak peek at an interview that's coming up soon. This is with Paul Roffman. Now, this is an incredible interview. It's also quite long. I think this interview, we've almost finished editing it. It's going to come in as about 2.5 to maybe 3 hours long. Paul is an absolute legend in the magic community. He is a performer, an actor, a musician, a comedian, a mind reader. He does it all, and he does it all brilliantly. He's performed at a very high level in the UK. He's performed abroad. He's currently living over in Los Angeles and is a regular performer at the Magic Castle in Los Angeles. He's high up on the Magic Circle. He's got his own podcast. The guy is an absolute living legend, and I was lucky enough to grab some time with him. And this interview is awesome. It really is. I'm going to give you a sneak peek of the interview, just playing a small part of it, but the full interview is coming on Magic TV this Saturday. Look out for it.
It was the same with my podcast. I was talking to people and I had this idea. I was very influenced by Rogan and I liked his long form podcast, and I thought I really, I discovered a lot of different types of people. So I didn't want to do a magic podcast, even though it's called The Magic of ... with Paul Roffman. So it's about the magic of anything.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in what makes actors tick and what makes directors tick, and writers and musicians, and music was a common theme. And I love talking to people where there's a connection of different art forms, and you can talk about magic, and it's the same kind of thing about comedy, or it's the same thing about music. And there's loads of magicians, when you talk about magic, who, if they're musicians, I read them and I go, I've got you. You think musically when you perform. You're all about timing and beats and build and diminuendo and suspense and rhythm and silence. You know, that's what those people are all about. And sometimes you're like, wow, that just changes everything.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Dave Grohl on the drums. He plays guitar, but he's a drummer.
Mm.
So he plays guitar differently because he's thinking differently.
Mm. Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, and you know, have we started? We haven't started.
No, I'll start in a minute. I'm gonna start in a second, just because I want to ask some of these questions, and I want to get into some of this stuff. This is
okay. I'll come back to it. What was I gonna say? Like, I was really lucky. Steve Valentine, who's brilliant.
Oh yes,
just brilliant. A lot of English people don't know Steve, which is ironic because he's English, and he moved out to LA. And
I know Steve. He's great.
Yeah, I saw his show at the Castle. He did his one-man show, which was I think originally about a 2-hour show, and he did a 40-minute version at the Castle. And I remember seeing it was before I moved out there, and I went and saw it, and I was like, I went up to him, and I didn't know him, and I went, I've got to know you. You just did exactly what I think is brilliant about stage performance and about magic. You understand it all. I really like it. I need to be your friend because you understand what's going on. And he's like, get in touch when you come back. I was like, definitely. I was like, that was awesome. That was awesome. It was narrative, amazing magic, a true story, craft. Yeah. And we became pals, and he used to do like self-tapes. He'd call me up if he had to do auditions, and he'd come over. I was like chuffed to help him. And he said to me one day, he'd phone me up. He moved to Canada, unfortunately. It was just before the pandemic. But he said, oh, I've been asked to host Nicholas Hoult at the Castle. Would you mind doing that? I was like, no, cool. So it was Nicholas Hoult and his beautiful girlfriend. And I met them and I showed them around the Castle. And Nicholas Hoult was really cool, really nice, really genuine. And we were talking about, because I do all this improv stuff. I did the Groundlings in LA. Worked my way through the Groundlings, which I'll talk about if you want, which is comedic improvisation and how that all worked. And so I was talking to Nick Hoult about it. And then I was talking about my short film and the magic show. And he was like, yeah, no, I'll have a watch of that. And he was really, really nice. And then what I did is like, I'll take him to different shows. And then I was like, I'll do my show downstairs. Shall I do a show? I'll finish with my show. And then I finished with my little show. Make sure that's the last one. It's time to go now, isn't it? Yeah. And I called him up and said, I'm thinking about doing this podcast. And he went, oh, that's a brilliant idea. I should get all that equipment. And I said, would you be on it? He's like, yeah, give me a shout. And then I gave him a shout, and he kept on like half answering, and I thought, he's messing me about. And I was talking to my mum actually. I was like, I don't think he's going to do it. And then I get a text and like, yeah, Tuesday's good. And I thought, okay, great. He doesn't really know that I do go on for hours. So I'll see whether I can do, like, I'm sure he'll be okay with an hour, but we'll see if we can push it. And I like to do about 2, because I've always found when you get past about the 45-minute mark, people relax.
I've found that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. They just kind of chill out, and then they start telling you stuff that you never heard before. And so anyway, we started doing it, and And then like a few nights before, I started watching like loads of films I hadn't seen of his and his TV show. But what I did watch was loads of interviews. I watched some of Graham Norton, Jonathan Ross, as many different things as I could find of him, because I thought, what do they ask? What do these guys ask him? Because I don't want to ask him that. You know, is there that quick? Because whenever you see Hollywood people, they're always asked the same thing. And they're always ready with the same story. And sometimes you've heard that same story with 3 different interviewers. And you think, really? Is that the best you can come up with? So,
okay, guys, this 5-minute segment is going to be about this little badge that I'm holding here. Do you see this little square badge? It says "One Ahead" on it. This is what I want to talk about. In fact, I'm going to proudly put it right here on my shirt during this whole segment, because this is a badge that says I am a member of the One Ahead Club, which was founded, created and ran by Rory Adams. Now, what is the One Ahead Club? Well, if you listen to the Craig and Lloyd podcast, the Magic podcast with myself and Lloyd Barnes, we talk about the One Ahead Club a lot on there. But basically what it is it's not a membership site. It's the best way to describe it is almost like an email club, right? So every single week, Rory sends an email out about his thoughts about magic. It might be something that he's created. It might be something to do with the industry. It's different every single time, but he always sends something out every single week, and that's what you're paying for. Now, it's always insightful, it's always interesting, and it's always thought-provoking, and it is absolutely worth the money, even if he never went through any tricks or concepts or routines or ideas. It would absolutely be worth the money. But what he also does is creates and shares ideas with the people that are part of his club that are actually genius. Now, I'll be clear, some of these routines, I look at them and I think that's just brilliant. I don't know how practical it is to do in the real world, but it's genius. Like, he's got this whole idea, one that came out recently, is he borrows a watch and he has somebody think of a time and he holds the watch, or he puts the watch on the table, and when he does, their borrowed watch, you can actually see the hands start turning round and round and round and round and round until they settle on the time that the person's named. Genius. But then there's but it's not the most practical trick in the world. There's not a lot of people that would do it. But I genuinely believe that when you watch or read things like this, it really makes you think in a different direction. And just because something's not practical for me doesn't mean it's not practical for other people. And at the end of the day, when you talk about Rory Adams, you talk about one of the top consultants and creators and thinkers of magic in the world. So just the fact that you've got access to his thoughts about magic is worth the weight in gold. But then you've got golden nuggets that he drops that's absolutely brilliant and more than worth the cost of the membership. So, for example, one that I've talked about is a book test that he brought out a few weeks ago that he just gave away for free as part of his membership. And this is one of the greatest impromptu book tests of all time. Imagine somebody comes around your house and they ask you to do a trick. I mean, you can do this in the real world. I've actually talked with Lloyd about how you can actually do this in the real world all the time. But let's just give you an example of how you could do it in a casual setting. Somebody comes around your house, asks you to do a trick. So you say, okay, look, I'll tell you what I'm going to give you to do. I've got a book over there on my table. There's 1,000 pages on the book. What I want you to do is I want you to name a page number, any page number. Let's say 326. You go, brilliant. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to text you a word. Before we do anything else, I'm just going to text you a word. So you text a word to them. And then when they go, yes, I've got it. And you go, brilliant. Don't look at it. Just make sure that you hold on to that word. Don't look at it. Keep it on your phone as the text message. You then tell them to pick up the book. You could give them an option of several different books if you wanted to. There could be 10 books on the table. You give them an option of any one. It's totally up to you. They pick up the book. They look at the first word on the page that they've named. And when they do, they read the word out loud. You then tell them to look at the text message that you sent them, and the word matches exactly. It's that clean. This is an example of the sort of stuff that Rory Adams sends out when you are in the One Ahead Club. So this 5x5 segment is just to give a big shout out to Rory Adams, the One Ahead Club. This is the badge right here. You get one when you become a member. And I highly recommend that you do. You can join immediately now. It's worth every penny. And like I said to you, you're going to think it's thought-provoking. You're going to think it's interesting. But there's also golden nuggets that Rory drops that will just blow your mind. Now, I'm hoping at some point soon to do a full review on the One Ahead Club, a little bit like I did on Christian Grace's Magic Monthly. And for me, Magic Monthly and One Ahead Club, they go together like birds of a feather because they're both incredibly high quality. So that's what I wanted to tell you about today. If you're a member of the One Ahead Club, please let me know. Let me know what you think of the One Ahead Club in the comments down below. But I'm a very proud member, and I will be for a very long time to come. Okay, guys, that is another 5x5 in the bag. Thank you once again for joining me right here on Magic TV. I really appreciate it. Don't forget, if you want to see more videos like this, all you got to do is like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. If you want to see something specific on a 5x5, again, let me know in a comment down below. I do 5x5 specials on particular subjects. So again, if you want to see something like that, let me know. I'm going to be back again tomorrow on Tuesday with a Talk Magic, at 9 o'clock, a Shorts at 2 o'clock, and at 6 o'clock we're going to go with a full Magic Live. So I'm going to see you again tomorrow. Thank you once again for joining me on a Monday evening. Thanks very much. My name's Craig from Magic TV.